So we're gonna get our acceleration here. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Land Rover Range Rover 50. I'm super excited. This is only one of 1,970, but first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Range Rover. Check out their inventory and link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood, we have a 5-liter supercharged V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 16 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 518 horsepower and then 461 pound-feet of torque. Let's go over the front end of the Land Rover 50. So first off, this paint color is called SVO Premium Yellow. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like a gold yellow, and you guys can see it just looks perfect. It's not a bright sunny day, so it's hard to really see the color, but it still looks just great. And then coming down below, we've got these full LED lights. Notice how you have the accent lights that go around, and then you've got the LED lights just there on the side. We've got parking sensors all along here on the bottom portion, and then notice how the whole grille has been blacked out, and then the venting here at the bottom portion. And then here at the very bottom, we've got the gloss black trim as well. And other than that, that is everything for the front end. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 22-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. It does come with air suspension, and then the black brake calipers are part of the 50 package, and then you do get a 50 badge here just at the bottom of all of this black trim, which I think accents the yellow paint just perfectly. And then notice how they have the mirrors all blacked out, and then they did the whole top blacked out as well as the rails there on the top. And other than that, here is your full side view on the Land Rover 50. Now we're just going to call this the 50 for the rest of the review. So first off, here on what is technically the tailgate, right, you have carpeting, which looks really nice. And then notice that you do get a 12 volts under there. And then we've got a bunch of controls for the seats right here to raise or lower them automatically. And then you can raise and lower the rear end because this does have the air suspension. You have a cargo cover already built in on top of that. And then notice we have another control just right down here. But other than that, that is everything for the back end. Now let's finish things up in the rear end. So first off, let's go over the taillights, which if you unlock it, you guys can see the turn signal light and what that looks like there at the bottom. And you've got the rest of the taillights, which I just love. They're so distinctive. And then you've got your autobiography badge with the P525 to let everyone know you've got the supercharged V8 under the hood. Parking sensors here at the bottom portion. And then we do have a receiver hitch there at the very bottom. I love the covers for the exhaust tips. They look perfect. They really match the styling of the 50. And other than that, that's everything for the back. Now let's start things off with the door panel here in the rear. So first off, you get beautiful leather over the whole door panel, which looks and feels fantastic. And then I love the trim just between the leather, which has all the controls on it. You've got full power adjustment for the seats. Just look at all of the different adjustments. And yes, the back seats do have a memory seat function. You have this that actually is blind spot monitoring before you open the door. Just a nice bit of safety tech. And then I even love just the feeling of the door handle. It just feels really nice. And then we do have the window control up here as well. Couple speakers for the sound system, another one down below. But yeah, that's the door panel. And again, remember, this is for the back seat. Now let's actually look at the seats here in the rear. So first off, the headrests are pillows. Like, look how soft those are. And you've got beautiful stitching all throughout, perforated leather down the center portion, and just look at the plushness of the seats. You have a 50 logo right there, and then you've got some vents right here with the climate controls, and then you push in for the seat controls, and it does have heated and ventilated seats, which is just crazy nice from a luxury perspective. Most cars don't even have heated seats in their back seats. You've got a bunch of areas where you can charge devices down below that, and then you do have some extra storage there for the rear passengers. But we're not done yet. Press this button, and it'll automatically come down for you. Just crazy luxury feature wise, and just look how elegant that looks as it's coming down. And then this is the whole center console setup, but let's actually pop in. Oh, sorry, I gotta keep reviewing. Anyways, you've got the center console situation here, which if we open it up, you guys can see there's some storage space right there. And then you've got these two buttons right here, which if you press that forward button, it'll extend it. Wait for it, wait for it. And then this will allow you to open up the cup holders. That is the coolest way to open up cup holders that I have ever seen in my life. And then notice the rest is actually automatic for the up function as well. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front. So you get the same design as the rear, so beautiful leather, and you've got the dark trim. You've got all of your controls for the seats, the door lock and unlock. You've got the window controls here at the top, and then speakers for the sound system. Got our 50 plaque right there. And then you still get the pillow headrests, which look absolutely fantastic. And then all of the perforated leather all down below. We've got the pedals here at the bottom. That opens up the hatch. Look at those beautiful paddles. And there's one more look before we step in. Now here's the steering wheel on the 50. I love the contrast between the gloss black and then the leather here on the sides, and the leather feels really nice. And even the airbag cover has leather and stitching all around it, which again just looks perfect. And then over here we've got all of our controls for the cruise control, and then you have controls for the center stack. If you press the menu button, it actually changes the little screen there on the control. And then you do have the paddle shifters there on the back with the stock for the windshield wipers and then the light stock on the other side, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here for the center gauge cluster, this is where things are a little bit more normal. You guys will recognize this from other Range Rovers that I have reviewed. So it has this same center screen, which you have a bunch of different menus you can scroll through, and then it has the full digital layout for the gauges. But that's about the only normal thing here in the 50. And then just like the other Range Rover models, it does come with the adaptive drive modes. So first off, we've got our eco mode, and then we've got the dynamic, and sorry, they don't call them modes, they call them programs, because we're in a fancy car, okay? We've got grass, gravel, snow, and then we've got the mud and ruts, and then past that we have the sand, and then finally we have the rock crawl. And if you're like, you know what, I just want to drive normal, you just push the drive mode select back in, and then it'll go back into auto, and I'll show you guys that function in just a moment. Now there's a lot to go over with the infotainment system. We'll start with the camera aspect. So popping into reverse, we have this backup camera that pops up. Notice the resolution's really nice. You've got the trajectory lines that'll turn with the steering wheel. Now that's what pops up when you pop it into reverse. Now there is a separate camera function in the infotainment system itself. So notice that we've got the bird's eye view right there. And then if we actually go back to the home page, so press the home page button right there. Let's say that you want to access the camera. Again, this little camera icon right there, just press that, and then that'll pop that open. And then notice that you have all of the different viewpoints. So for example, if you want a front camera, you just press the front camera. If you want the back camera, you press the back camera. If you want the side, you press the side camera. Really easy to use, and it's great. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system screen, first off, response time is fantastic. You can see that as soon as you touch the screen, happens instantly. It does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There are a bunch of cool features in here. Like I've said in previous reviews, I could literally have pretty much a whole video on this infotainment system, which I probably need to do. I'm going to mention one key feature that I love, and that is with the seats. So you can fold or unfold the seats here from the infotainment system. So you can press fold all, and you can select the seats that you want to fold or not fold. And so, yeah, you have to ask yourself the question, to fold or not to fold? Well, let's continue on before I get fired for my horrible jokes. We have another screen down below here, and then this is where the drive mode select is also seen as just on this screen. And then we have more seat adjustment. This is for the heated and cooled function, so you turn on the seat, and then you can adjust all those functions with it, which again, just so easy to use and it's just really easy to access. And then also we do have the climate system, and this does have the trick climate controls where if you push in, then you go to the seat, and then if you push in again, then you'll go back to the climate control. So it's got dual functionality on it, and that's everything for the lower screen. Now I love the transmission selector here in the 50, and here's why. So if we turn it off, it just elegantly goes down. And then if we turn it on, it elegantly just pops up. I just think that's such a cool feature. And then if you do want to get in the S mode, you do have to push the dial down and then over. You don't have to push it really hard, but you do have to kind of push it, whereas the other ones you just twist the dial to get into the different modes. We have the covering for the cup holders right here, and then notice you got your plaque front and center, one of 1970. So whenever you have passengers in here, they know that you have a limited edition version of the Land Rover Range Rover. And then notice you've got your stability control, the off-road cruise control, and then this is the drive mode select. And again, I just love how it's easy to go back into auto mode. So you press it up, and then you can turn it to go into the different drive modes. Then you're like, hey, I just want to go back into auto. you just push the dial back down. This is for the air suspension to raise or lower it, hill descent control, and then that's your low range. And then we've got the parking brake. Now here is the center console, which also doubles as a fridge, which is the coolest feature you can ever get in a car. So it is air conditioned. And then notice you've got more areas we can charge devices on the front end of the center console. And then again, it's lined with beautiful leather here on the top. Very comfortable place to rest your arm. We do have the double glove box. So first off, you've got the up button, and then this you pull back. Now it is kind of spring loaded, so it will just kind of close by itself, but then you just have to just press it to fully lock it. And that's for the bottom glove box. It's a regular glove box. It's massive, but it just functions like any other glove box. And then notice tons of leather. You've got beautiful trim, more leather all over the whole dash. Like everything you look at is really nice material wise. Now up top here, we do have the controls for the panoramic sunroof, and you can see that we have a full panoramic sunroof. Now this is the coolest part. The 50 package gives you this custom leather headliner, which just looks amazing. Look at all of the stitching, everything. Like this is how you say you're rich without saying you're rich, is the fact that you have a leather headliner in your car. That is the coolest feature that I have ever seen. And even the sun visors are leather, and they have Alcantara there on the bottom. Like, it's just crazy. Everything is so nice material-wise. Even though this is something that, right, you might use every so often, still feels and looks amazing. And I mean, how many times are you really going to look at the top? Not that often, but they still made sure that it was great. Here's our window sticker for the 50. So first off, you can see the standard equipment that comes with the 50 itself, and then with the rest of the car. Feel free to freeze the frame if you actually want to read through all the options. Now here's what I was wrong about. So I called it the SVO Premium Yellow because it says it here for the exterior color, but it also goes by another name apparently, Heritage Color Bahama Gold. So I'm guessing that's what the color name actually is. So this is probably, and if you guys know a little bit more about this than I do, because obviously I focus more on like the main stuff with the car. This is just a particular color on the car. I'm guessing that this is like the base color that you can get, or maybe it's just called two different names. I don't know. Let me know if you know in the comment section below. But you can see that this beautiful gold color is the most expensive option, $12,000. I definitely think it's worth it. It looks so fantastic. I've never seen a paint color quite like this on another car. But you can see our total MSRP down here, $169,530. Let's take this out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the 50. So first off, visibility of the hood's great, and hopefully you can see the heads-up display at this point. Here's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's what the rest of the rear, which, I mean, this is probably the best visibility that I have seen in a new SUV in a long time. And it obviously has kind of like that square boxy type design, and that helps out because you can have really large windows, so you can have really good visibility. And that all being said, let's set off. We are setting off here in the 50, and first off, let's talk about the road noise and ride quality. And as suspected, this thing rides just so amazing. This is the definition of a luxury car from a ride quality perspective. Seriously, go look it up in the dictionary. It's gonna pull up this car. But seriously, like, it is so smooth. It really, like, when car reviewers talk about riding on a cloud, they're talking about this car. It is that smooth from a ride quality perspective. Like, going over this little stuff on the road, yeah, you feel it slightly, but it doesn't upset the car, and it just goes over everything so smooth with the air suspension. And there is a perceivable difference with this versus other Range Rover models. This definitely feels smoother. And on top of that, to add to the luxury car experience, you really don't hear a whole lot that comes in the cabin. It's very well damped here in the interior from all of the noise that's happening on the outside. So just from a luxury car perspective, it's great. The seats are really comfortable. The steering is nice and effortless. Like, you guys can see, you literally can just steer. I mean, you could steer with one finger. I'm not going to do that for obviously safety reasons, but you could hypothetically It is that smooth, that comfortable. Now I am going to pop it over into the dynamic mode. I'll drive it there in for a second and see if it kind of drives a little bit different. But yeah, this is really nice. So we're getting up and going in the dynamic mode, and now we can kind of talk about the transmission. Super smooth. You guys know I love the 8-speed automatic that's across the lineup with Range Rover. It's really smooth. It's quick to shift. Doesn't move the vehicle around, upset it or anything. It's just a perfect transmission. And then we'll see what the turn-in is like here. I really like the sound of the turn signal. I know that's a random point, but I like the sound of the turn signal. Yeah, it's really light and effortless. It actually doesn't feel that big. It is a big SUV, but it doesn't feel that big. It actually handles great, and it feels smaller than it is. That is pretty surprising. Now I'm going to pop it over into the S mode, and then I press the minus paddle, so now it is in the manual shift function. Yeah, just as smooth even in the manual shift function. And well, it looks like we ran into a little bit of traffic, so I'll be back with you guys in a moment. So we're going to get our acceleration here. Wow, that's quick. I wasn't expecting it to be that quick. Just because of the size, I was expecting it to be a little bit slower. That is really fast. This thing's fun. I love it. And unlike the SVR that I recently reviewed, the SVR Carbon Edition, and obviously that was a Range Rover Sport, but I do want to make some comparisons. This engine definitely feels more refined to the luxury side compared to the SVR. The SVR is like more violent, throaty, just way out there. Whereas here, it's a little bit quieter, it's a little bit smoother with the acceleration. You definitely get more of a luxury car experience. But don't get me wrong, it is, I mean, extremely responsive. It sounds fantastic, and it's the perfect engine for this. I love it. This is one of my favorite engines, especially for a luxury car, because when you're just kind of slightly driving around, you're not going crazy on the throttle. It's so quiet. It's very similar to an electric car in terms of the lack of sound that you get, which is a good thing. That's what you want in a luxury car, because you want a nice, quiet driving experience. But that'll get me to sum things up here with the 50. So first off, I know the paint color is expensive. I love it though. It looks fantastic. This is hands down one of the best looking Range Rovers I have ever seen in my life. It's just, and the paint color is just one of the biggest reasons for that. And then aside from the paint color, I love all of the black accenting on the outside. I think it just really pulls things together. It's a really, really good looking car from the outside, stands out. As of me filming this video, I had like 3 people walk up to me and they were asking me about this because they're like, wow, I've never seen anything like that. So it definitely gets attention. Interior wise, it is just perfect. All of the controls are nice, modern, easy to use. Interior materials are top notch. Everything that you look at looks great. Everything you touch feels great. And even things that you don't look at or touch are amazing, right? The headliner is full leather. Even behind, if you guys noticed, when I lowered down the center console there in the rear, there was still leather behind the center console area, an area where you will never look at it, but there was still leather. The person should have probably used their turn signal if they're gonna, of course. But anyways, just everything is so top notch in this. It really is an amazing luxury vehicle. So if you're looking for a limited edition Range Rover, definitely check out the 50. It is just absolutely awesome. I feel like they just nailed it with this. Definitely, I mean, probably one of my like probably within the top like 2 favorite Range Rovers. This or the SVR Carbon Edition. I love the SVR because like the sportiness, but I love this because of the luxury. Now that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Range Rover 50. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Land Rover of Salt Lake for giving me some time with this 50 edition. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in the next video.